Nigeria, by extension Africa, battles a growing youthful population and with little or no meaningful engagement leaves a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say.
Good evening and welcome to Waste Primetime. My name is Choma Kalu, and you see, tonight we would be talking about an issue that shakes the very foundation of our society, and that issue is the issue of gender-based violence. Now, yesterday in Abuja, the federal government officially flagged off the 2025 edition of the 16 Days of Activism against gender-based violence. Now, the Minister of Women Affairs declared that Nigeria is fully committed to ending all forms of GBV, outlining new plans, renewed collaborations, and expanded programs aimed at prevention and survivor support. But beyond the speeches and symbolic gestures, Nigerians are asking one question that seems to be very urgent. And that question is, are we truly making progress in that regard? For decades, Nigeria has recorded some of the highest rates of gender-based violence in Africa. Millions of women and girls still suffer in silence. Survivors often struggle to access justice. And you see, shelters even remain inadequate. Now, legal enforcement is inconsistent also across states. And despite national policies, the lived realities for victims remain painfully unchanged. Also, research shows that a significant percentage of women in Nigeria have experienced physical or sexual violence, and only a small fraction ever report it. Many states, took years to domesticate the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, and even where the law exists, implementation remains weak. Sexual assault referral centers, which should serve as, lifelines, they are too few and underfunded, and conviction rates remain extremely low, leaving survivors feeling abandoned by the system that should protect them. So tonight, we are asking, beyond activism, where is the accountability? Now, remember, Ways is all about you, as you are the why in Ways. So be a part of the conversation every single day and add your voice to the discussions. Now, head on to our YouTube channel and subscribe at Official Upgrade TV. Like, share, and invite your friends and family to join the show. And when I open my phone lines, I'd really love to hear what you have to say on this particular conversation. And before I go on a break, here's a quote for you to ponder on. Now, the quote says, "Violence against women is a global pandemic that thrives in silence. Breaking that silence is our first act of justice." And this was said by Antonio Guterres, And I mean, we're going to open this up much later. But first of all, we'll go on a break. And when I come back, I'll take you through my news interest for the day. Please stay with us. You're welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're still watching Ways. And this is a segment where I take you through my news interests for the day. And the very first one I have says, Canada flags Nigeria and 16 other African countries as high risk in new travel advisory. Now, the news says the government of Canada has issued a new advisory urging citizens to avoid all non-essential travel to Nigeria, including the capital city Abuja, citing an increasingly unpredictable security environment marked by terrorism, crime, armed attacks, and kidnappings. Now, the Canadian government dropped one of its biggest travel risk updates in years, warning citizens to steer clear of 17 African countries because of spiraling insecurity, political turmoil, and extremist violence. Now, Canadian officials point to a perfect storm of threats: expanding extremist networks in the Sahel and the Horn of Africa, a wave of military coups, communal clashes, mass protests, cross-border crime, and, fragile governance that leaves many states barely holding together. Now, on the avoid all travel hotspot destinations are South Sudan, Burkina Faso, Central African Republic, Libya, Mali, Niger, Somalia, and Sudan, while the avoid non-essential travel list includes Madagascar, Ethiopia, Burundi, Chad, Democratic Republic of Congo, Eritrea, Mauritania, Nigeria, and Tanzania. Now, the advisory released yesterday highlights that while the entire country faces elevated risks, certain regions are considered so dangerous that Canadians are urged to avoid all travel. It is really sad that Nigerians are in this. Nigeria as a nation is part of this this list. These things, I keep saying it, we would have been able to avoid this particular rise in insecurity that we're seeing if only we had a government that is up to par, And now, look at when this insecurity thing started, right? We started seeing countries like Chad, blocking their borders with Nigeria, saying, "Oh, we're not going to entertain this. We're not part of this. You guys don't bring this your problem to us." And now this is Canada. Canada is telling their people, "Oh, listen, if you don't have anything essential you're going to do there, just stay in your house. Don't travel." The government looking out for their citizens, and we are down here, going to argue with the US to tell them that, oh, it's not as severe as you think. Our Minister of Foreign Affairs got on a podcast. I was trying to make it look like, okay, we got this under control, here and there. This insecurity thing, I don't think they even see the urgency. Okay, you might say, okay, we are rescuing some of them. Okay, you've rescued Kebbi girls. You claim to have rescued them. Meanwhile, there's a video circulating on social media made by these said bandits, and you can't tell me that was AI because we know that is not an AI-generated video. So this video was one that was made by one of the bandits where they were trying to tell these girls to note that, okay, government did not rescue you. We are the ones giving you people back. Asking them how many helicopters did you see, here and there, showing that it was a negotiation that sort of happened. But the government has come and told us that, oh, we did not, they had prior to now, they had told us that, oh, we did not pay any ransom. We don't know what to believe, but I choose to stay on the positive side of the story that these girls are back. Let's also extend that effort, to the victims of the Niger school kidnap as well, and some of the people who are still being held by these bandits. And like I said, we need to treat this with more urgency because look at Canada now are telling their people, forget this place, avoid this place. Other countries might follow, and what this might cause us is investors, we're going to lose confidence, our economy will grind to a stop. A lot of things will happen. So this is not a time for us to be concerned about political power, who's going to hold power next. This is a call to action. This should be a wake-up call to our government because it's not good. not looking good for us in the books. All right, moving on to my second story. It says, rising insecurity may push 35 million Nigerians into severe hunger in 2026, UN warns. Still on this, our insecurity conversation. Now, the story says United Nations World Food Program, WFP, has warned that growing instability across northern Nigeria, including the surge in attacks, could push nearly 35 million people into severe food insecurity during the 2026 lean season, which is the highest figure ever recorded in the country. Now, the warning followed the release of the latest Cadre Harmonisé, a regional food security analysis that classifies the severity of hunger. Now, UN highlighted attacks by the insurgent groups in Nigeria, including the Jamaat Nusrat Islam wal Muslim and the Al-Qaeda affiliates, Islamic State in West Africa province, and its expansion across the Sahel, which intensified throughout 2025. Now, the WFP country director and representative in Nigeria, Dave Stevenson, said northern Nigeria is experiencing the most severe hunger crisis in a decade, with rural farming communities the hardest hit. He stated that nearly 6 million people in the north were projected to face crisis levels of hunger or worse during the 2026 lean season from June to August in the conflict zones of Borno, Adamawa, and Yobe states. This, is said, includes some 15,000 people in Borno who are expected to confront catastrophic hunger, such as Phase 5 famine-like conditions. Stevenson also noted that children were at the greatest risk across Borno, Sokoto, Yobe, and Zamfara, where malnutrition rates are highest. Well, I mean, I'm just here highlighting the economic disadvantage of the insecurity, and UN is giving us another report, of what is likely to happen in 2026 as a result, which is hunger. Hunger. This one is not a joke, because if you're killing people in their farmlands, that means they can't go to farm anymore. They can't go to farm what they will eat. And that also means that there's going to be famine. And that also means that people are going to die. Malnutrition is going to go high. Like I said while speaking on the previous story, it's not a joke. This is a wake-up call. There's a lot at stake that we can lose as a nation, right? Let's shift our focus from 2027 election. In fact, if you even ask me, can we forget about it for the time being and sort this out? Because these things we're talking about, they're not animals. They're actual human beings. All right? Moving on to my final story. It says, troops arrest notorious kidnap suspect in Taraba. The story says, troops of 6th Brigade Nigerian Army Sector 3 Operation Well Stroke have apprehended another suspected kidnapper in Taraba State. Now, in a statement yesterday by Acting Assistant Director, Army Public Relations of the Brigade, Umar Mohammed, said the suspect was arrested through a coordinated operation. Now, the statement said, during a carefully coordinated operation on November 23rd, troops apprehended a suspect identified as Alhaji Abubakar Bawa, who is believed to be a close associate of Mr. Umar Musa. Umar Musa is another notorious kidnapping mastermind who was arrested by 6th Brigade troops on November 22nd in Wukari. Preliminary investigations have established strong links between the two suspects and a wider criminal syndicate responsible for multiple kidnappings, violent attacks, and coordinated criminal activities across the southern Taraba region. Now, Brigadier General Kingsley Uwa, the Commander 6th Brigade, has commended the troops for their professionalism, resilience, and operational precision. He said the arrest of Bauer is a clear indication that Operation Zafin Wuta is achieving its intended objective of dismantling criminal syndicates and restoring security to affected communities. Now, this latest success reinforces the resolve of the Nigerian army to rid southern Taraba of all criminal threats and restore lasting peace to the area. Now, he urged residents to remain alert and provide credible information that would further assist security agencies, in the ongoing efforts. Now, when I saw this news, I commended them, to be honest. I'm glad this happened. But now, here is just the beginning of our troubles, you know? You don't just arrest this person. You have come to tell us you arrested him. Let us not end here, as the pattern is. Tell us, oh, we're prosecuting this guy. We said he's a kidnapper, right? We're prosecuting this guy. He's going to court this day, and he's been sentenced to. Don't come and tell us this guy is repentant, as our manner is, right? It's not in your place to decide his repentance. Don't come and tell us he's repentant. Let him face the full weight of the law. So he's been kidnapping, he's been maybe possibly even killing victims. Let him face the full weight of the law. Don't tell us he's repentant and you're reintegrating. That's always the line. We are reintegrating them back into the society. You know, don't do that. Don't do that. I commend you for the arrests that you've made so far, but this is just the beginning. Let's follow through. Be transparent with his processes. Don't end here by giving us these press statements now that you have arrested him. Be transparent with the processes, and let's end when he lands in jail, because he has to pay for his crimes, right? Anyway, that's all the stories I can take for now. We'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll dive into our topic of the conversation we have tonight. Please stay with us.
Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light for my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we'll bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria's energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we'll analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.
Nigeria, by extension Africa, battles a growing youthful population, and with little or no meaningful engagement, leaves a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say.
Thank you for staying tuned. If you're just joining us, tonight our conversation is centered on gender-based violence, and we're asking, beyond the activism, where is accountability? Now, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation by sending us an SMS to 0818-038-4663. You can also call us on 0702-500-7749 and also on 0701-4242420. Let's hear your thoughts. Let's hear what you have to say. Now, the 16 Days of Activism is a global campaign that began in 1991, but in Nigeria, the movement has taken on an urgent and deeply emotional dimension. The statistics remain very troubling. Women and girls continue to face violence at alarming rates. Many survivors never come forward, of course, right? Shelters across the country, we're seeing that most of them are very insufficient, and the justice system is a far cry from what you should expect of it, right? It continues to re-traumatize those that has been, that are victims, then it should protect them. Now, while the governments at different levels have made promises, that's all we see, promises, survivors still face the same barriers that have existed for decades. So tonight we're asking the hard questions, and helping me to unpack these issues, I have Mofolusha De Sonaike, a business strategist and women's empowerment advocate. Good evening, ma'am, and thank you for joining us. Can you hear me, ma'am?
Good evening. Good evening. I can hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Right. So let's get into it. Nigeria has over 36 states, and, yet the gender-based violence response systems differ drastically from one state to another, right? So how do we address the widening inequality in access to justice, especially for women in the northern rural communities and riverine communities, even in all these conflict-prone zones? How do we do that?
So, yes, the difference across states is very wide and deep.
Right.
But, when I was thinking about this, the first thing that came to mind is we need to start from even the people, as opposed to, from the top. Culture comes to play, societal expectations and societal norms, some things that have been normalized that should not have been, are there. So it has to start from creating awareness so that people begin to, because some people are even living with these things and they think it's normal. Like, even if you go now, you say, okay, I'm going up north, I'm coming there as their savior, I want to fight for them, or going to some other state where it is not, top burner. Some people may even look at you as the enemy. I know people who have tried to stage interventions in certain situations sometimes, and then at the end of the day, even the victim will come back and be like, oh, no, I don't want to push, or no, mind your business, don't get involved, So the issues are really deeply rooted, and it starts from actually changing that mindset and helping people understand that there are certain things that are just unacceptable, and the change is necessary. You cannot force you can force the horse to the river, but cannot force the horse to drink water, right?
That's right.
So so it has to start from that, from changing the mindset, creating awareness, and the greatest tool for this is media. The way, the kinds of stories we tell, the kinds of movies we put out there, as in, instead of reinforcing these stereotypes and these things that we have accepted as normal, we need to start challenging those stereotypes and telling stories that make people ask questions, make people realize, no, hang on, this is wrong, this should not be. And then we can now start having the conversation about creating systems, creating processes, creating things that will help, to stem the rise of this.
I like that you started with the fact that a lot of people are beginning to start seeing, that, like, looking at some of these things like a norm, and
Yes.
some of them are really pressured into it because, like you rightly said, when you press for justice, you're being looked at as a strange person. But I think I'm going to come to one of the factors, that actually push people to behaving like this. And this is the factor of, when they go to report to police stations, right?
Yes.
Now, we still see police stations pressure survivors to settle amicably with their abusers, or even withdraw cases. So how do we hold the Nigerian force accountable for these behaviors that sabotage justice?
So, like I said, it's the culture and the societal, like, norm. because there's first of all, I mean, before we even start going into policies and some of these rules, I
Yeah.
mean, system things that are already archaic and need to be revisited and adjusted.
Yeah.
People, I've had cases of people who have run to the police for safety, and at the end of the day, they send you back.
That's,
I say,
yeah.
you two, what did you do? You two, why did you
What did
shout
you
back?
wear?
You two, what did you wear? You two, why were you going out at night? All these kinds of ridiculous, and that is why a lot of times victims are even afraid they're like, why bother? There's no point because we're not going to get justice. And, even before we start to even talk about the police and holding them accountable, even people, even fellow women, fellow people who have gone through this are the ones that will still be pointing fingers. I've seen cases of people who come out to Twitter to say, oh, I went through this. And you will see how people will be taking down the victim as if it is the victim's fault. So many cases like that, right? So we need like a an overhaul of the things that are out there, things that people believe, the systems that we have put in place, the things that we believe. At least we're the ones raising. It starts from how we raise our children, how we raise our boys, how we raise our girls, the kinds of things we say to them, the kinds of things we allow them to just get away with. You don't, it's just a joke. Oh, no, he's just playing. No, it's not a joke. Nothing is, all of these things eat into the system and make these things the norm. So, like in a police station, you can have some people who are on that line of, you two, what did you say? But if it's just one person in each station or whatever that has a different mindset and has a different approach, that person can change the way these things are handled in when people come to report these cases. So
Something.
like
Yeah, go ahead. Finish your thought.
yes, so like for in the force, even if we can have like champions in each, so trainings, exposure, because sometimes what you don't know, you can't give what you don't have. Some
That's
of these
true.
things they don't even know that is wrong, they think is normal. But if there's you take people for training, take them for campaigns, do campaigns and things like that, such that in each place there is a champion who is like the person that looks out for, is this fair? Are we addressing this the right way? Are we saying the right things? How do you to a victim? What are the kind of questions you ask? What are, so somebody who is the people who are trained, who know how to handle these cases. Because in all fairness, a lot of these people they're not trained.
Yes. Yes,
They're
they're
not
not.
trained. Yes.
I,
They're
I
not
would
trained.
I would agree with you because there's a video that I saw on social media. Oh, thank God for social media because a lot of things we see on there, So when the school children were kidnapped from Kebbi State, there was a video or
Yes.
someone uploaded of a police officer. I think he was in a bar or something. I'm assuming he's taking his break. Let me assume that's what he was doing there, wearing his uniform, even showing his face. And this guy was saying, they go down sleep with them now. Wait till they go find. I better go. And he was making fun of it. He was joking with it. And the first thing that comes to mind, I'm wondering, this is your first approach to this thing. So even if, you feel, they've been slept with and all of that, shouldn't that trigger you more to want to do something? And it still, circles down to this issue of training because there's a lot of mindset shifts that I think is needed, right? And anyway, moving forward, states like Lagos, Ekiti, Kaduna, appear to be ahead in these gender-based violence frameworks, while others lag behind, of course. So should Nigeria adopt a federal standard that, compels states to reach a minimum benchmark? Or do you think is actually politically unrealistic? Are you there?
Yes, I am, but I think I lost you for a second.
Okay, I'm going to
The
repeat my
network became
question. I
shaky.
said
Yes.
states like Lagos, Kaduna, I think Ekiti as well, they are at the forefront of this gender-based violence frameworks, and other states are lagging behind. I'm wondering, do you think Nigeria should adopt a federal standard that compels states to reach minimum benchmarks? Or do you think this thing is just politically unrealistic?
first of all, as much as we want to say, we want to believe that the country is like homogeneous in terms of culture level, we're not. We're not. Some states are way ahead, some are way behind. And if we now have a benchmark, some people will be able to hit that benchmark, fast because they're close to that benchmark. While some, it will be as if they're not even doing anything, even if they're making progress, right? So I think, across states, there should be some level of autonomy based on the reality of that region, because we cannot just say there can't be a blanket benchmark
Yeah.
across states. It won't work. It will cause, yes, it will cause. So there should be, I think each region, based on what the work they've done so far, how much how far they've gone, what they have in place, how far they need to go, that should determine what the benchmark should be for, be in that, and then it should be progressive. The thing about these things is many times we make these policies and we assume that they are static.
Of
But they're
course.
not meant to, it's meant to be dynamic. It should be reviewed. You put it in place, you come back, okay, what's the progress? What's going? Okay, fine, you've
Yeah.
moved forward. Let's improve it. So it cannot be blankets because the disparity will be a lot and it will be difficult to monitor and gauge how much progress each person is making. I mean, each state is making. So I think there needs to be some level of autonomy in each state. Maybe, of course, training across board, but then the approach for how it will be implemented in each state should be
Are you there?
who understand the environment. Yes, I'm here.
Okay. I lost you
Yeah.
for a moment.
Oh, okay, sorry. Okay. So yeah, the people who are trained and equipped to get through to the people in their region based on the societal norms there that are prevalent there, the culture, and all of that, they would know how to implement these things there. So each state should have, some level of autonomy in the implementation of the suggestions or whatever it is that we need to put in place to reduce gender-based violence.
All right. I want to take it to the angle that really, I don't know, but it just aches me each time I hear it, right?
Okay.
So, despite this Violence Against People's Prohibition Act, marital rape is still widely dismissed as not a crime, by
Yeah.
many enforcement officers and even community leaders. I remember when we started, we decided, you said we can start from the people, before we
Yeah.
even go to the top. So some of these community leaders even dismiss, how can you say your husband raped you? Do you know what you are saying? Is that not your conjugal duty? And when you hear these things, you're wondering. So how do we confront this cultural resistance within the legal system?
There's a lot of work there. Apart from yeah, apart from reviewing the yes, I laugh because it's heavy.
It
Apart
is.
from reviewing the policies, like one thing I said when I started was the media is our biggest tool.
Yeah.
A lot of the conditioning that we have now, a lot of the programming that we have now in terms of, things that people believe, things that people have normalized, many of them were pushed through the media, through the kind of songs that they put out, through the kind of movies that we put out, through the kinds of stories and folktales that we share out there. So the onus is on people in the media, really. Movie makers, filmmakers, content creators, all of those kind of people to create the kind of content that can shift the mindsets, that will make people think, that will make people ask questions, that will make people begin to see that, you know what, this is not normal. You know how it is when something is happening and then in your mind, you know that you are not happy about it, but you're thinking, maybe I'm imagining it. Maybe sometimes you need something outside of you to validate and make you realize, you know what, I'm not overreacting. I'm not mad. This
Yeah.
is really wrong. Do you understand? Right? So yeah, so pushing out stories like that help people see that this is wrong, this is unacceptable. Because before we even begin to push for policy change, before we begin to push for legal frameworks, before we begin to push for all of these things, the people involved need to see the need. Because I've seen cases where people bring something, suggestion for change, for amendments to thing, and it doesn't even pass the first hearing or second hearing because they're like, well, they
Yes.
push it out. You know, because the people that are still there, that are still going to sit and decide and make all these decisions, are people that are from among us, who have
Yes.
these same beliefs, who have these same ideas, who have normalized all of these things. So awareness is really key, first of all, and then having champions who would, put it upon themselves to put out the kind of content, films, music, whatever it is, that will drive people to begin to ask questions, that will drive people to begin to think differently. And then from there, we can start to have conversations about, you know what, we need to look at this policy, we need to look at this, we need to look at that. It needs to be changed. This cannot work. This doesn't make sense. Because we are really the government. After all, we're running a democracy. Many times
That's right.
we give so much power to the government. Everybody says, oh, it's the government, our government. But our government is us. We have to start getting involved. If we don't get involved, because sometimes we give them too much credit. Some of
Yes.
these things that we see, they're blindsided to it. They don't see it, right? They don't see, they're not, they don't see it because they're probably focused on, like you said, the next election or whatever, or whatever. So someone has to, I mean, a group of people need to come up and then champion some of these changes that we want to see. Push for it, put pressure, join parties or just be active so that like these days of activism that is going on, speaking specifically to certain things as opposed to just doing, sometimes some of these things have become like just activities marking the season. There's no serious action that comes out of it. But it needs to get to that point where serious action comes out of it. There's an action plan. There's something that we're putting forward. There's, somebody sending an email to somebody and pushing something and saying, look, these are the things that we want reviewed. We want to have a conversation. We want to come to the table and suggest this, that. Because sometimes you can also say, we want change. But sometimes they don't even know how to approach it or how to navigate it. So we need think tanks, people who can think and say, you know what, why don't we try it this way? Why don't we this? Oh, they've done this somewhere. Maybe we can adapt it to our own environment and implement it here.
I
Yeah.
mean, I totally agree. I have someone on YouTube that says, okay, Heels and Sparkles. He says we need to start telling stories to change the narrative, And someone else, Osas, says Nigeria is the giant of no accountability. As sad as it sounds, I think I want to share that particular opinion because that is one problem that we have. We would always, put out policies, and then there is no accountability whatsoever, But we're going to go on a very short break, and when we come back, we'll continue the conversation. Please stay with us. All right, welcome back. We're still talking about ending gender-based violence, and we are asking, beyond all of the activism, right? We need, where is accountability? And I have Ms. Soneke with me on the show. Ma'am, you're still here with us, yeah?
Yes, I am. Yes,
Great.
I am.
Thank you. Continuing our conversation on community leaders, how much responsibility do you think they should bear, these rulers now in communities where harmful practices, such as these forced early marriages that we're seeing in the north, widowhood rights, because that's violence. Oh my God, they have to shave your hair. You have to be married to the brother of your husband. How much responsibility do we give to them to make sure that these things are not normalized anymore?
So, like you said, community leaders have a role to play.
Yes.
Yeah. people need to begin to be empowered to be able to ask questions. So there was a friend of mine who was talking about how when her father died, so she's from a community in the Igbo tribe, and because her mother had all daughters, when her father died, she, getting a place to bury, because they were not allowed to own land.
Yes.
So they were now, so to bury her father was now a big issue, trying to get, a place to bury him in the village and all of that. And she came and stood as a woman and said, you know what, I'm going to pay for the land and nobody's going. It was a big, big issue. But she had people, older women in the community and some men who supported and backed her. And that was how she was able to get through that. When we have some success stories like that, success stories that challenge the norm, people are able to reference, look, this person did, in doing some things, you're liberating others. So someone says, she was able to do it, I can do it too. Her ground and said, no, I'm not going to, and she didn't, so I can do it too. That's how these things begin to spread.
Yeah.
So it takes just 1, 2, 3 people standing up and people who believe in this change backing them, to start that spiral of change. Because some people want the change, but they don't even think, they don't see the possibility. They don't even see that there's room for any, they feel like they're trapped and they're boxed in. Yes. But when you see that, you know what, I can speak up, I can actually say no, I can fight for this, I can fight for that. Somebody has done it, you have a reference. It makes you see possibilities.
Right. Right. And now you see many sexual assault response coordinators, they rely on donor fundings rather than government budgets, okay? But what happens when donor support decreases, and how do we ensure sustainability of these critical services?
And we are in that place now where a lot of the donor funds are drying out. Are drying out. But in all fairness, government cannot do everything.
Yeah.
They cannot do everything because already, even though I know that we complain that they're spending money on living large, doing this and doing that. But I think as a people, rather than relying on donor funding from diaspora or from, we look within, crowdfunding, supporting ourselves, create that port. So, in different communities, have people who there should be create a system where people can donate to a to platforms, credible platforms as well, because I think that's the fear that a lot of people have. There are people who want to, because I run a community for women, and there are a couple of times where we've had to fundraise for people, and most of the time I raise funds within the community, speaking to people, and people are happy to support when they know that this is a credible platform. They're not going to siphon, because see, sometimes our problem too is us, because people have stepped out to say, oh, I want to support this, I want to do this, that, and at the end of the day, there's no this accountability thing again. You don't know, you there's no end. You don't even see what has been done with the money. You don't see, suddenly you see people now living large, and it's very it's very painful, buying cars, and all of those. I know a lot of NGOs that have been blacklisted for things like this because they got major funding and they just diverted the funds to be living large. They're not applying it to exactly what they want to apply. So rather than looking out, we need more credible platforms with also technical know-how. Because another thing is sometimes you can fundraise to stage interventions.
Are you
even
still
lose
there?
everything, or even sometimes you take set up a shelter for women. Yes, I am.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So people put funds together. Stage. I was talking about technical know-how in terms of also these interventions. They need to be backed with what does this person do next. You raise these funds and all that, rehabilitate this person, give this person this money. They may not really know what to do with the money. At the end of the day, they may just lose everything. Yeah. So also that technical support so that they can apply the money and then you can see real results.
Yes.
We helped this person, and this person, we're able to establish this person in this area. The person can now stand on her own, and she can even give it back. give back to others, right? So those are the things: credible platforms and technical expertise, technical know-how on in terms of knowing what these people can plug the support into so that they can stand on their own.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
it brings me to what I term economic abuse, right? Withholding
Yeah.
money and controlling access to food, exploiting a woman's financial dependence, right? We've seen this as one of the most common forms of gender-based violence in Nigeria, but it happens to be the
Yes.
least discussed. Now, how can policy makers address this hidden crisis? Because you see, when you actually render a woman handicapped in that regard, right? That is usually one of the greatest weapons, and the woman decides, oh, let me stay for the sake of this. I don't have anywhere to turn to. How can policymakers actually address this? Because it's a crisis on its own.
So, I will speak from my own knowledge of a lot of things that Lagos State has been doing,
Okay.
because I know that they have a lot of skill acquisition programs, that are next to nothing, there for women to learn skills and be able to do things on their own. But let's just be truthful. Once a woman starts having children, it's a different ball game.
Yes.
Many people, yeah, because nothing prepares you for that. So a lot of people, they actually want to go out there and work. They want to do something, but they are bogged down with maybe, young toddlers. They have no support system. They don't have. We are losing that sense of, born are the days before, when they say it takes a village to raise children. It was literally a village, but now that
Yes.
village has disappeared. I'm sorry.
I
Many people, you're on
agree.
your own. You're on your own, right? So, baby on the back, one baby on the hand, and where do you even start from? Right?
Yes.
So maybe some of the policies, I don't. I mean, because in terms of interventions like training programs, free training programs to empower women, there are so many. Churches are doing, mosques are doing, government is doing. So it shows that it's beyond that. I think amongst ourselves, we need to, work on support systems. Support systems. Support systems, your neighbor. Some of these things that we had in place before, the culture that we had in place, it's not everything that was bad. We need to bring some of them back in,
Yes.
because yeah, we need to. It can be overwhelming being the default parent, right? Because especially when the man has a demanding job, considering how the economy is now. Some men even do 2-3 jobs. They may not be available, and then the woman is the one who takes the heat in terms of, oh, I have to sacrifice my job to take care of the children, and that is a lot. And that's why it's very easy to for some men to take advantage of that, to abuse them financially, right? So it's these support systems that we need so that women can go and access these interventions that government and organizations have put in place to empower them, to say, look, you can do your business from home, you can start from this, you can do your business from here, you can do your business from there. And another thing that, is also tech. We need to so more policies in terms of empowering people to be able to take advantage of technology. The beauty of technology is that you can make money while you are at home. You can start your small business in your home, and then from there you can sell and use logistics and use all of that. So I think that might be the missing link, such that women, wherever you are, whether you are in Kano or Anambra or Delta, wherever you are, you can empower yourself, you can make money by taking advantage of technology.
I mean, I have two questions, but I'm looking at my time. So maybe I will just merge them together and then you
Okay.
answer them simultaneously. Now, the first one
Okay.
is for boys, right, who have grown up to see their fathers abuse their mothers, right?
Yeah.
A lot
Yes.
of families have gone through that. How do we break that generational cycle and prevent today's children, from becoming tomorrow's abusers? That's my first question. Then the second question I have is, how can we integrate, we as a nation now, how can we integrate GBV education into the school curriculum, in a culturally sensitive yet effective way? So these two questions, yeah.
Very important question. So the first one, and it's both ways, right? So apart from the boys who see their fathers abuse their mothers and and subconsciously embody it, the girls who grew up seeing that as well, subconsciously embody it as well. So they grow up thinking it is the norm. So if a man is not, if they are not in that kind of chaotic relationship, they think, something is wrong. When a man hits them, they're feeling, oh, this is love. This must be love because that's what they're familiar with. That's what they think is. So of course, in that area is therapy. It's about therapy. Normalizing, there are a lot of people doing great work around normalizing therapy. Gone are the days when we used to think, if they talk about seeing a psychologist, then people like, that means he's gone mad. Oh, no, 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 no. It's not about, it's about breaking these cycles. These cycles and these traumas can only be broken through therapy. And that's one thing. That's that. For the second question, which was, sorry, just
how
a
we integrate
refresh.
it into the school curriculum.
School curriculum, yeah, okay. So for that, I know that when I was in school, we used to have all these after school clubs.
Yeah.
A lot of these interesting after school clubs and things like that. So we can bring them back. I mean, I was a proud girls guide. And they used to teach us, values, all of those kinds of things. So we can create all those kinds of after school clubs, because when we talk about gender-based violence, as much as we were focused on, because the women and the girls are more affected, right? When we look at statistics, boys are affected as well.
Yes.
Right, so it's because, like, I like that you said gender-based violence against persons. So humans, no matter what, people, any gender is susceptible to it. So creating clubs where these things are discussed, values, how to respect the other party, how not to, different. I think after school clubs is one way that it can be incorporated in, because already the curriculum there's a lot of work to be done in terms of, improving and adding things. So gender-based violence, the only way I can see it fitting in, to my mind, is through after school clubs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you
Unfortunately,
for
that's all the
having
time we
me.
have. And I hope you do have a great rest of your evening. Bye-bye, ma'am. All right, so tonight's discussion reminds us that gender-based violence is not just an act of physical harm. It really isn't. It's a symptom of deeper societal fractures, cultural biases, systemic failures, really. And the 16 Days of Activism is an important global movement. It gives visibility, solidarity, and a voice to survivors. But activism alone cannot heal wounds or deliver justice. And we are already seeing that our justice system, when it comes to this kind of conversations, is very slow. Now, that responsibility lies in accountability, the kind backed by laws, budgets, political will, sustained commitment by all involved, right? Now, every survivor deserves more than awareness campaigns. I have to put it that way. And whoever it is she or he, deserves justice, safety, dignity. Let's rid ourselves of the stigma. And until Nigeria confronts GBV not as an annual campaign, but as a national emergency, the cycle will continue and the promises will continue to remain empty. All right? That's all I have for you for tonight. Before we go, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV. Drop a comment, like, share, and follow all our social media platforms. And if you missed our quote earlier, here it is. It says, violence against women is a global pandemic that thrives in silence. And breaking that silence is our first act of justice. And this was said by Antonio Guterres. My name is Chioma Kalu, and this has been Waste Prime Time. Have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.